one actually come the other way for this one. So one of my favorite and honestly most high percentage attacks from the top side control on his arms is going to be to hit a very, very simple wrist lock. Hope I can give you guys some simple techniques here and some simple tips that are really, really going to help you attack your partner's wrist. And this is a move that I like to do against, against everybody, but especially against somebody who's got big, maybe muscular, well-developed arms and shoulders. If you're talking about submitting somebody's arm by twisting their arm, but they've just got a big, massive arm that can probably twist your two arms by itself, instead of thinking about shoulder, bicep, elbow, all of those big muscles, I'm gonna think about attack their wrist. And the funny thing as well is the people that are in the gym, big biceps, big bench press, they're probably not in doing like a wrist press or something like that. And also, this one can kind of hurt a little bit. I'm hopefully not gonna hurt my partner now, but you can strengthen yourself out of an arm bar a little bit. You can kind of pull it back and it's not gonna be sore, it's not gonna be sore, it's not gonna be sore until the very, very, very end. You have a lot of time in some cases. Wrist lock here happens very fast, and particularly if we do it well and in a competition or in the gym. If I put you in a submission and you say, ah, or you make a noise or you scream or something like this is a tap, I win. It's not cheating, but I'm talking about finding a quick and a surprise submission here. What I'm gonna do to find this submission is float first my two arms on the same side of Graham's body here. This is where we set up our step around arm bar. This is where we set up our Americana, maybe our straight arm lock in the middle, but I'm just gonna float on the other side of his body, okay? I'm making sure that if I feel he's gonna start to escape, of course, I'm gonna clamp down. This is also maybe somebody who I'm feeling isn't really bustling and fighting and scrapping to try to escape, because if they are, my focus isn't the submission, my focus is more control, trying to lock them down. If his head is moving a lot, trying to stop his head. If his legs are moving a lot, trying to stop his legs. Control, control, control is obviously the key, but I'm floating, I'm thinking about trying to trick him into doing something here. If I give Graham space for an underhook, very likely that he's going to put his arm through for the underhook. If I give him just enough space for the underhook, when he puts his arm in, and this is something that a lot of people do, they're gonna kind of go fingers first and turn their hand over to get into the underhook position. From this submission, I learned to always make a tight fist. If you whack a tight fist on here, it's actually very difficult to bend somebody's wrist. You can try it with your own wrist right now. Very difficult to bend it when you squeeze a tight fist. So for me, if I was putting an underhook, I would make sure it's a tight fist to avoid this. But you'll find lots of your opponents aren't going to know about this, and he's going to reach through. When he reaches through, I go chest down, then I try to find the back of his elbow. Right now, if you freeze your wrist there, Graham, he is like so. I have my chest on the back of his hand, and his fingers are coming down towards his own forearm. So simple, guys. Any wrist lock that you do, you just need to block their elbow, and then we're just going to press with the chest into the wrist to find a super simple submission. In a more competitive or a little bit of a harder training environment, when somebody reaches through there, I'm not going to do this on Graham, but when somebody reaches through, I'm going to give them a little bit of a bump. I'm not going to try to injure you guys, but I need to try to catch that fast because it's a tiny window. If I wait too long setting that up, he is going to be on the underhook. So I need to float, feel him reaching, and then find the elbow, boom, and try to put the pressure in here. So simple. I never drilled this move. I saw, it was a guy, DJ Jackson, American black belt, and this was a move of his all the way up through his competitive career. I'm not sure if he's still involved in jiu-jitsu in the same way that he used to be, but this move, and you can look him up, wrist lock, he's finished so many people with this, and it was always that, just floating on top, giving them the space to reach, and then when the arm goes like so, boom, trying to find that chest on the top. So important when you think about a wrist lock that you must block the elbow. If I'm going to push the wrist this way, but the elbow can retreat, you're never going to get the pressure on the wrist. And if I'm trying to submit Graham's wrist with just my chest, he can just move his elbow, exactly. So I have to try to block from behind, and in this case I'm doing with one arm. I would probably try to reinforce with two, and chest pressure with my kind of upper. This can be sometimes even my neck, sometimes I find in this position, depending on where he tries to bring his arm in. But again, it's the little bit of looseness from me that encourages a little bit of looseness and flow from him, and then boom, I just shut that all off and I give you that wrist lock. One other wrist lock that we can try, and we're actually going to scoot super close to the camera here actually, because I want to get, I even might try to turn this down a bit. Hold on. I'm going to aim it